Hi, everyone. Brad Delta Awesome here. And I wanted to spend a little time today to talk about the first lesson I teach all CEOs. And these can be experienced CEOs who've been in the chair multiple times for multiple years. They can also be people for the first time because you invented something, became a founder, then a CEO, or because you took over something. Here's a 100-year-old bank that needs a new CEO, and I'm raising my hand. It's all the same for the CEO. The first thing is the first thing that to teach really is the importance of losing one mind gremlin, which is thinking the CEO is the superior version of the discipline you come from. Right? That's a lot to unpack, but it's not that hard. I tend to find that COOs, when they describe what a CEO is doing or should be doing, they describe it in terms of being a COO, and it makes it feel like it's the CEO plus or X2, right? I find the same in finance or in lending or in sales or in marketing or in storytelling. And that's fine. You should know if you are a CEO, it's really common for your C suite to think that about your job. They know it's not, but their mind frame, their mindset is siloing you into their worldview. The day you sit in the chair, you can no longer afford to hold that worldview. In fact, wherever you come from, I'm going to pick finance right now because a lot of financial people do that, but it doesn't matter which one. A finance person thinks that finance runs the company. They'll then treat it like a financial operation and ignore things like marketing, branding, and storytelling. They'll ignore things like the operational value of communication because it's not financially based. Or the storytellers will ignore the metrics and the numbers. Whatever it is, you will have blind spots to the disciplines you haven't been a part of. Now, every once in a while, I come across a CEO who's truly come up through an erratic set of series. Maybe you started in HR and then moved over to operations and then moved over to finance and then put your hand up to become a CEO or start your own thing. Those people tend to do better on this because they've already adopted this mindset of not how do I make what I'm good at into what works for this, but the mindset of what do I need to get good at to do this job well. My favorite representation of this and the people I often look to mine for CEOs, it's not exclusively, it's a metaphor, are people who either have military or high level athleticism in their background. Why? Because those people tend to think in terms of what do I need to do to get to success, not what do I have and how do I apply it in this direction. And I know this because of people in my family who were very strong and very capable athletes, but when they got to the professional level, they had to learn new disciplines. It wasn't about strength and guts. It was discipline, which included sleep and rest. It was nutrition, which included timing, spacing, all that. It was sports psychology. It was learning to sharpen the blade, so to speak, with your equipment. It all changed, but that's why they were able to create superior goals, is because they brought in more disciplines. Same thing with a CEO. Your great discipline gave you the opportunity to be in the chair. Now that you're in the chair, this is no more than 30% of your job. So if you come from finance, you need to learn the other 70%. What are the best practices? What are the communication styles? What is the shadow culture inside of marketing and branding? The things that are unspoken but always true for people who live there. You have to learn those things. Well, part of that is getting away from what you're good at. Part of it's learning what you're not. But then there's a second, even harder thing. What you were good at, now somebody else does. If you're inside the same organization, it's literally a somebody else. If you came from finance, you're no longer the CFO, somebody else is. Or if you come to a new organization or create a new organization, someone else is doing the work. And that's the second part of this discipline. You have to learn the other work, but then your job in your old discipline becomes very different. You are no longer the best in the world at finance in this industry, in this space. You need to lose that part of yourself. And what do you need to gain? You need to gain the position of how do I make this person the best they can be at my old job? That's the second half of losing this concept, maybe even this identity of I'm the superior functioning person at this one discipline. Now in the chair, I need to learn the other disciplines. I need to learn how to manage. I need to learn how the intersections between those work. And I need to learn how to make someone else as good as they can be, not as good as I was. They may be better or worse. That's fine. They're for sure going to be different. But your position isn't to make them you, it's to make them the best they can be. So that's the start of every CEO's journey. Because if you can't do this, what ends up happening is because of preference sets over time, the entire company gravitates towards what your preference set is. And if your preference set is a single domain and your company has 3 or 4 domains, then your company is going to be over indexing and overvaluing that domain to the chagrin of the others. What ends up happening here, the people who do not get the love, care, attention, wisdom, guidance, finances from you, the leadership, the mentorship, they atrophy. And when they atrophy, either it creates a system and series of chaos in the culture or in the processes, or you accrete mediocrity, which is a phrase that I love to say, which is your best people leave because they're not getting enough nutrients, right? The best people in the world are also the most mobile. And if you're spending all of your time and effort trying to convince everyone that we'll sell our way out of this, that our financial ability to raise money and have good metrics will get us out of this, and you ignore the other side, your best people are going to look and say, I want to apply my discipline in the most superior way where it is seen and is valued. And here, I'm not getting it. And they leave under shadow pretenses and pretexts. Hey, my Uncle Bucky started something. Hey, there's too good of an idea. Hey, I'm being poached for money. That's how you end up losing so badly if you stay within your domain and discipline, is that the other sides slowly and steadily get worse. And if you have a three-legged stool, if there's three domains that your company needs, which are typically something like product or supply, operations or utility, and sales, demand, lending, whatever it is, if one of those stools is unbalanced to the others, you will never grow this organization. You will just be putting out fires, and your fires will mostly be in the discipline you don't like, you don't understand, because you didn't lose that set of identities. I'm no longer the best at this, and it's no longer the most important thing in the company. I hope this helps you, and thank you for your time.